If you're interested in mastering your emotions, welcome back to my series where I answer the most frequently asked questions about healthy emotions. Today, we're going to dive into question number 10. How does overthinking actually keep me emotionally stuck? If you've ever felt like your mind just won't shut off, like you keep going over the same situation again and again, but somehow feel worse instead of better, this is for you. As always, if you want to keep up with this series, I'd really appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribed. That way, you'll get notified whenever I drop a new episode and you can keep building awareness around your emotions instead of feeling controlled by them. If this is something you struggle with, you're not alone. And overthinking is one of the most common patterns I see, and it's something I've personally had to work through too. And it can feel like you're doing something productive, like you're trying to understand or fix things, but instead you just end up feeling more stuck and more overwhelmed and more disconnected from yourself. You might even feel frustrated with yourself, wondering why you can't just let it go or move on. The truth is, it's not that you're doing something wrong. It's that you've been relying on a pattern that actually keeps you in the same place. Once you start seeing that clearly, things begin to shift. Understanding how overthinking keeps you emotionally stuck is important because most people don't realize it's the very thing preventing them from moving forward. When you can see what's actually happening beneath the surface, you stop blaming yourself for not getting over it and start recognizing the pattern that's keeping you there. And that awareness creates space to respond differently instead of automatically going back into your head. And from there, you can begin to process what you're actually feeling instead of trying to think your way out of it. That's where real change starts to happen and where emotional freedom actually becomes possible. So, how does overthinking actually keep me emotionally stuck? That's the question, and it's one so many of us wrestle with. Overthinking keeps you trapped because your mind keeps running the same situations over and over, like a song stuck on repeat. Every time your mind replays it, your brain thinks you're working it out, but your emotions stay stuck in the same place. And your attention stays locked on what already happened, and closure never arrives. Even small reminders can trigger the same anxiety or frustration, making it feel like you're back in the moment again. And the more that you dwell, the more intense the emotion feels. And soon you're reacting to memories instead of what's actually happening now. You end up feeling frozen in experiences that are already behind you, as if your mind is dragging you back against your will. And each time you revisit it, it just feels as raw as the first time. And your nervous system learns to expect this stress, which keeps you on high alert without realizing it. You might notice a sense of heaviness in your chest or a knot in your stomach that never fully eases. Part of why this happens is the belief that if you just figure everything out, you'll finally feel okay. Start searching for answers, thinking understanding will fix it, but it rarely ever does. And each new angle pulls you deeper into uncertainty, and clarity always seems out of reach. Overthinking convinces you that insight equals freedom, but insight alone can't shift what hasn't been felt. And you exhaust yourself looking for solutions that don't exist. And in the process, you remain tied to the same emotional space. Your mind creates imagined consequences that feel just as real as reality. And the pressure to solve everything prevents you from trusting your own inner guidance. And you may feel stuck watching yourself spin in circles while the answers seem impossible to find. Overthinking disconnects you from what you actually feel, which is another reason you get stuck. When your mind is focused on why or how, your body stays tense with unprocessed emotions. And you notice your thoughts more than your sensations, which block emotional flow. And the energy of the feeling doesn't get expressed or released. Your nervous system just acts like the moment is still happening, so tension and stress linger. And emotions pile up because they aren't fully experienced, and before long, they influence everything else in your life. Even when the situation is over, your body and mind are still reacting. You start carrying unresolved emotions into new experiences, and that weight only grows. And each moment feels amplified because the emotional energy is still alive. And you may catch yourself feeling off without knowing why. So, overthinking makes it difficult to recognize your actual emotional needs, and you end up suppressing signals your body is sending, which keeps the cycle going. It also creates loops that replay automatically. So every time the memory comes up, the same emotional reaction fires again. And your brain starts expecting this intensity, and the feeling becomes habitual. Even when the facts have changed, the emotion hits you fresh, like it's happening all over again. Reactions start to feel automatic, and breaking the loop feels unnatural. Your mind develops shortcuts that keep pulling you into the same emotional response. And you might notice yourself preparing for the same stress automatically. And the loop continues, quietly shaping your habits without you realizing it. The stories your mind tells feed the trap as well. Doubt, fear, and insecurity shape every interpretation. And small incidents feel huge because your mind fills in gaps with worst case scenarios. And the more that you think about it, the more real and permanent the emotions feel. And you react to assumptions rather than reality, which keeps you in place. Overthinking inflates ordinary events into emotional crisis, and you can start to feel like your feelings are dictated by your thoughts rather than your actual experience. And these stories keep your focus on fear instead of possibility. Now, overthinking also keeps you from feeling what you actually need to feel. Discomfort like fear, rejection, or uncertainty gets pushed aside while your mind pretends it's working through it. But those emotions remain in your body, growing stronger each time you sidestep them. One way to interrupt this is to ask, is this a fact or is it just an anxious thought? And that question creates a small gap between you and the story your mind is running. And it gives you space to step out of the loop and see your thoughts instead of becoming them. Without that pause, the emotion stays frozen. And awareness is the first step towards freeing yourself. And every repeated thought reinforces the stuck state unless you intervene. And your mind becomes an echo chamber, and the cycle just continues silently. Challenging your thoughts creates breathing room for the emotion to move. And you might start noticing patterns that you've ignored for years. And that awareness allows you to separate what's real from what's imagined. Overthinking delays action and letting go, which keeps you locked in place emotionally. And waiting for certainty or a perfect answer prevents forward movement. And that perfect answer rarely arrives, leaving your emotional state stagnant. Hesitation ties energy to old patterns instead of letting it flow into new experiences. Overthinking also magnifies fear and indecision, keeping you trapped in analysis and the opportunities to release or shift past while your mind is occupied with figuring it out. And every delay reinforces the stuck feeling, and your mind convinces you that waiting is safer than risking change. And growth is ultimately delayed because thinking dominates over doing, and the emotion remain trapped until you finally take that step forward. In reality, the longer that you wait, the more familiar the stuck state feels and the harder it is to break free. To support you in building emotional awareness, I've created a free resource called the Emotional Breakthrough Guide, and I love to share it with you. Inside the Emotional Breakthrough Guide, you'll find step-by-step exercises that help you notice your personal triggers, reflect on emotional patterns, and begin responding in healthier ways. These exercises are designed to fit into your everyday life, so you can start building emotional awareness and control immediately. You can get your free emotional breakthrough guide right now by clicking the link in the description below. Once you do, you'll receive instant access to the guide so you can start using it immediately. You can move through it at your own pace and begin noticing small but meaningful changes in how you cope emotionally. If this video helped you, I'd really appreciate it if you liked this video, subscribe to the channel, and turned on your notifications. That way you'll be notified of the next video in this 23-part series on healthy emotions, where we continue building the awareness and skills you need for long-term emotional health. I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.